Hello there.
And welcome to a brand new episode of my podcast Racing. So today I decided to just do a free for all, just, relatively laid back discussion on movies in 2021 in general, our favorites and least favorites so far. I'm not going to do a whole, tier list or anything, like that. Just, just talking about movies that came out this year in general and our thoughts on them. And on the podcast, I have once again my good friend MaryAnn. How are you doing, MaryAnn?
I'm really great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So for those of you listening, we're actually recording this in mid-July, but at the time of recording, I have no idea when this episode will be up because I'll be starting a full-time job soon. I'm really glad that you're on the podcast again, and I'm looking forward to talking about movies again with you.
Yeah, me too.
So, why don't you go first? Again, this is just a very laid back, free for all discussion. So, why don't you could tell me about some of your favorites, some of your least favorites.
Okay, thank you. I made a little list. I guess I'll just go in order that I wrote them down, which I think what I did was I sorted by my ranking on Letterboxd. So I guess that's the order this is in. First one I will say is Raya, or was it Raya? Sorry, Raya and the Last Dragon. It's not that I didn't expect much from it. I just didn't know that much about it. So going in, I had, pretty average expectations. Just, okay, it's just a Disney animated movie. I'm sure it'll be fun and cool and cute. And then I ended up really loving it. I really loved the story and the journey that the main character went on. And I just thought it was very unique and a cool take on, a hero story that wasn't one that we have seen bazillion times by now.
I enjoyed that one as well. I will confess though that I found the main character Raya herself to be very boring. I liked all of the characters, just fine. My favorite obviously being the Aquafina dragon. What was her name? Sisu.
Mm-hmm.
Sisu's her name. I'll be honest. I
Yeah.
found Raya herself a little boring, and the kung fu baby, whatever that baby, that just kind of creeped me out a little. But I mean, I liked it. I liked it fine. It's not like one of my favorite Disney movies, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I would have liked it better if I liked the main character a little bit more. I found her a bit boring, but
Understandable.
I enjoyed it too.
That's good. No debate here.
Were there any films this year that came out that like really just either like disappointed you or you just think are straight up like bad?
Oh yeah, so I'll probably just in this case, I think I have 6 for each for good or liked and 6 for disliked. And if that's too
Ooh.
many, that's fine. But
No, definitely not. No, the more the merrier. Please share with. We'll go back to films that you liked later, but right now,
okay.
please share with me all the films that you disliked.
Okay, so I still haven't seen a movie this year that I hated or just absolutely really didn't like at all. These are pretty much only just ones that I don't really want to watch again, and it disappointed me for various reasons. So the first one, this one's the freshest in my mind, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. The first movie was pretty funny and entertaining. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is, great all the time, and I always enjoy him. And
Yeah.
I enjoy Ryan Reynolds as well. And
Same.
I was really looking forward to seeing the sequel because I'm glad that they gave Salma Hayek a bigger role because she was pretty funny in the first one, but she had a smaller part. So I was really glad to see that they made her part bigger. But then the movie itself was just kind of all over the place. Have you seen it, Colton?
Nope, I didn't really like the first one that much, and I have absolutely zero interest in watching
Oh,
the
okay.
second one.
Okay. Well, in case anyone's listening is planning to see it, I'll try to not spoil too much. But the sequel is just kind of all over the place. There's the first 30 minutes takes a really long time to get going, even though it kind of doesn't at the same time. Like, what I mean by that is there's like 4 different storylines going on, and eventually they all come together. But it takes a really long time to be like, okay, what does that person have to do with this person who has to do with Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson, Salma Hayek, and why is all this happening? And is it really that interesting? And no, in my opinion, it wasn't really that interesting. And the Salma Hayek's character was she was funny and I love her, but it was kind of a dumb character because half the movie she's just talking about how she wants to have a baby, and it's like she sounds delusional because she's, in her 50s, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm totally able to, get pregnant. And it's like, okay, like this is 2021, like you have a basic understanding of biology. Like unless you froze your eggs or something, like you're not going to get pregnant. Like, and it was just kind of weird that the movie spent so much time on that when it just kind of made her seem like a dumb character, when they could have given her more to do and more agency and more, not just being sad about not being able to get pregnant.
I guess in Salma Hayek's defense, Abraham and Sarah from the Bible had their first son when they were both like well over 100 years old. So, but that does sound like a very stupid story, a very dumb storyline for this type of movie, and that disappoints me honestly, because how I interpreted her character from the first movie, her character in the first movie was one of the few good things I actually really did enjoy from the first one, but I wouldn't imagine her wanting a kid with, her and her husband Samuel L. Jackson's kind of lifestyle. So that's a very weird storyline.
Yeah.
Well, like I said
and it was very prominent, so it wasn't like one thing that she mentioned one time. It was like the main plot practically. So
yeesh. Yeah, man. Well,
maybe
I
not
had
the
no
main plot.
interest.
It was like a side thing, but it wasn't small. Was the point.
Well, like I said before, I have no interest to see it. I'm probably never gonna see it, not even when it comes out on streaming or whatever. Like I said before, I didn't really like the first one that much, so I'm probably not gonna see the second one at all. But are there any other films that
Fair enough.
you really disliked or disappointed you?
Another one that's kind of fresh in my mind is The Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt as the main character. It came out on Amazon Prime about, as of this recording, I guess it was right around 4th of July, I think.
Yeah.
Again, this is one that I didn't really have many expectations going in. I didn't really know that much about it until like a week before it came out, and then people were like, oh yeah, this movie's coming out on Prime soon. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. So I watched it with my parents because they usually like these kinds of movies. Did you see it, Colton?
No. Oh, real quick though, to those of you
No.
who are listening, we will not spoil anything. So since all these movies came out this year, just in case that there are some people listening out there who do want to see it, we'll avoid spoilers. But no, I did not watch The Tomorrow War.
Okay. So the thing about the movie is the plot it has an interesting idea. It's like there's a war in the future, and they somehow find a way to send people back and forth between 30 years from now and present day. And so they're like, well, we'll go back in time and have people from 2021 go forward to help us fight against these aliens. That's an interesting concept, but it just wasn't executed well. There were a lot of things that kind of seemed ridiculous and didn't really make sense. And a problem with time travel movies often is the whole, like, I guess, time paradox thing, where if you do one thing in the future, does it really happen in the past, or vice versa or something? So without spoiling too much, it just kind of didn't add up to me. And watching it, I just kept asking myself, like, what? Really? And it just wasn't really that interesting to me. Like, I kind of wanted it to be over about halfway through, and it felt really long. So I can't say I recommend it.
I like Chris Pratt, but he's been cast in some very mediocre movies. This just I read
Yeah.
the premise. I read the premise. I watched the trailer, and I was like, I don't care. This doesn't. This sounds like it could be good, but it just doesn't look good. And like, yeah, there wasn't really anything about it that like really like made me want to watch it. The only thing that made me like come close to possibly checking it out is J.K. Simmons is in it, and I love J.K. Simmons, but he wasn't enough for me to renew my Amazon Prime subscription and watch it.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know if it's a spoiler to say how much someone is or isn't in a movie.
I mean, he's in the trailer, so I assume that he has a prominent role, unless he's like at the very end and Amazon spoiled the entire movie in the trailer.
Well, that's not the case. There's just not. If you were someone who was going into the movie wanting him to be like the second most important part, I will just say that's not the case. Like,
Gotcha.
obviously, Chris Pratt is the lead. J.K. Simmons is not the second most important character. Not at all.
Gotcha.
So it would not really be worth your time if you were trying to watch it just for him. So that was a good call on your part.
Yeah, all right, yeah, that's another movie, just like Hitman's Wife, Bodyguard. Ugh, what a dumb title. But anyway, I am not really interested in watching the Tomorrow War. I'll probably never watch it, and if I were to see it, I probably would just be very bored watching it, but I don't think I'm gonna see it ever. It definitely won't be the main reason for me to renew my Amazon Prime subscription. But real quick, I'll share one movie that unfortunately, so on my YouTube channel, I made a Pixar ranking movie where I ranked all the Pixar movies from worst to best, and that video
Right.
got a lot of views. It's my most viewed video on my channel ever, and I'm really grateful again.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really grateful to all of you guys who watched it, and I also decided to do a DreamWorks animated ranking list, all the DreamWorks animated movies
Oh, cool.
from worst to best. I basically kind of forced myself to watch all of the DreamWorks animated movies, and there are some really bad ones. And one of them was the Boss Baby 2 Family Business.
Oh my gosh, no, why? I didn't see the first one, so I guess I can't really say for sure.
Don't. It's gosh, I really didn't want to, but it is a DreamWorks animated movie, and I'm making a video ranking all the DreamWorks animated movies. The first one, both
Mhm.
Boss Baby movies have such a ridiculous premise, and there are
Yeah.
actually several scenes in both Boss Baby movies that have such nightmare-inducing visuals that I think could genuinely
Oh no.
scare some kids. I won't go into I won't go into details in case anyone out there wants to watch the Boss Baby 2, but I'll just say that there's some images in both Boss Baby movies that like I had to pause and turn away. These images in both these movies were scarier to me than any horror movie that I've seen in my life. I'll just say that.
Oh no.
The jokes weren't funny.
Mhm.
Character motivations made no
Mhm.
sense at all. Alec Baldwin's very adult voice coming out of his baby is just so unsettling and weird. Not
Yeah.
a movie I would not. I do not recommend watching either Boss Baby movie.
Okay, noted. It's very
Yeah,
low on my priority list anyway, so.
yeah. I'm sure that you weren't planning. You weren't even planning on seeing either to begin with at all. Why don't you go ahead and share some of your more disappointing or just meh films?
The next one that I have is this one's kind of technically a 2020 release. I don't know because it was eligible for the Oscars this past year, but it came out in February. So I wasn't sure if I should include it or not, but I saw it in 2021 and it didn't really end up being at the Oscars. So I'm adding it anyway because I didn't have a lot for this category. But I would say the movie Cherry was very
Oh,
disappointing to me. And
oh no.
yeah, and I knew you were going to agree with me on this one. So that's another reason why I included it because I have read your review on it. It's just like misery porn. The whole movie is just two and a
Yeah.
half hours of like Tom Holland and his girlfriend being miserable and being on drugs and stuff. And I'm like, I do not need this for 2.5 hours. Like, oh my God, please cut some of this. Like, this is not helping at all. Like, I don't want to watch it. Like, maybe it's realistic. I don't know anybody in that situation, but like, come on. Like 2.5 hours, you made your point an hour ago. Tom
I,
Holland was good. I mean, he didn't act poorly, but I didn't have no desire to watch it again, and it was not fun at all.
Ironically, I think that despite the Russo brothers' intent and Tom Holland's intentions, I think that this film actually kind of glamorizes that kind of lifestyle. And I'm not going to get too
Yeah.
explicit, but I do have some friends who had, drug problems in the past, and their experiences are surprisingly vastly different than Cherry's experience in this movie. And like I
Hmm.
mean, this is
Hmm.
based off of a true story. This is the Cherry is
Yeah.
based off of a book that was written by a real life young
Yeah.
veteran
Hmm.
who went through PTSD and had a drug problem and robbed banks and all that. But the movie just feels it's so like it's such a style over substance movie. And I didn't even
Yeah.
when I had Apple TV Plus earlier this year, I watched it like halfway through and then I stopped, and then I decided, like a few weeks ago to finish watching it. And like because I'm a completionist when it comes to movies. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I start a movie, I have to like finish it no matter how bad it is. But like Cherry was so
Yeah.
bad that I had to stop, but then the completionist in me was like, no, you got to finish it, and it somehow got worse.
Yeah.
It got worse as it went on.
Yeah, it did. I agree.
Man, I can't believe that the Russo brothers went from making Avengers Endgame, which is one of the best Marvel movies, to this
Hmm.
piece of crap. Oh man, I mean, literally the only
Everybody
good
has a
film.
stinker in their filmography, right?
Yeah, yeah. Honestly though, like this movie was so bad that like anything else that the Russo brothers are coming out with that they're gonna make, I'm like, yeah, I'll just skip that one.
Oh wow.
Real quick before we continue, I just want to preface. I assume this is the same with you, but I haven't seen that many. Obviously, because of pandemic and stuff, that's a factor. But so far this year, I've mainly just been more into like just watching or rewatching TV, like on streaming and whatever. So I actually haven't seen as many movies as I normally would per year. So I actually haven't seen like I at the time of recording this podcast, I still haven't seen Black Widow. I'm not gonna watch like Fast and Furious 9. I do want to see Zola, but I haven't gotten the chance to see that yet. So if there's a movie that I don't
Oh,
mention, I probably haven't seen it.
I can't believe I forgot to write that one down. Actually,
Which one? Fast and Furious
I
9?
forgot. No, Zola.
You saw Zola? How was it? Was it good? I really want to see that one.
I did not like it at all.
Ah,
And
dang,
so
really?
but I
Wait,
did, like I said, I forgot to write it down, so maybe it's not as bad as
without
No, I just didn't get it. Like, what was the point of the movie? It was just like, it's not even a long movie. It's like an hour and a half, and it just felt like I have a problem with movies about, I think I just have a problem with movies about people who are terrible or like ridiculous. Like, I just, like, The Florida Project is not for me. That's not a movie that I enjoy. And this kind of reminded me of that, to be honest, because it's just like, the main character just like is so unappealing, and like, what, I don't want to spend 5 minutes with this character, let alone an hour and a half. So like, I think I'm gonna mispronounce her name. Is it Riley Keough?
that's the actress's name, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have nothing against her because she did a fantastic job of being ridiculous. I just didn't enjoy it at all. Like, the other character played by Taylor Page, I just didn't understand her motivation. Like, the main premise of the movie, I'm not going to spoil it too much. I'm just going to say what the main premise is, and you can guess this from the trailer, is that Taylor Page and Riley Keough meet up And then Riley tells Taylor to come with her to Florida for like some special thing that they're going to do to make money. And that's fine, but like the whole beginning didn't make any sense. It's like they just met each other and Taylor is like totally fine with just going with a random stranger. Like that just didn't make any sense to me. And it lost me from the beginning. I was like, why is this happening? And there's so much that could be avoided with all this nonsense and chaos. It just lost me, and I just didn't enjoy it.
Do you know that Zola is actually based on a true story?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
It doesn't make it any more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I just liked it, and you
I
should
know.
based on true story.
No, I know.
I'm not saying that at all, but I was looking forward to it because I actually read the entire 148 Twitter thread that story that
Oh,
the real life Zola put out, and it is insane. I can't believe that these people actually exist in real life. Like
yeah.
like the people that exist, like I never want to meet. I didn't mean no disrespect, but I never want to meet the real life Zola or any of her friends or associates in real life ever. Like they seem like absolutely
Yeah.
insane people. And I do get that feeling of not really connecting to movies where the main characters are completely unrelatable or irredeemable or idiots. Like the Florida Project, yeah, like every character in the Florida Project besides Willem Dafoe is kind of a terrible person, but I don't know,
Yeah.
just I still really liked it. I still really liked Florida Project, and I probably will like
Fair
Zola
enough.
too. I'm definitely not gonna be able to relate to the main character at all, but I don't know. There was just something about the Florida Project with its like filmmaking and storytelling that I just was drawn to, and I mean I haven't seen Zola yet, so who
Good.
knows? Maybe I'll really hate it, or I won't like it as much, or maybe I'll love it. I don't
Maybe
know.
you'll love it. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sorry that you didn't like it.
Okay, can't like every movie. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess you can, but that doesn't seem very realistic.
yeah, no, that doesn't. Yeah, no, that's definitely not real. That would be kind of a problem, in my opinion, if you liked every movie that you saw. But like film for me is all about
Yeah.
sparking a discussion and healthy civil debates. But
Yeah.
there is one movie. There's like Cherry is definitely like probably like my least favorite movie of the year so far, and I highly
Hmm.
doubt that that's going to change. But there is one other movie I saw that is almost as awful, and watching this was just such a miserable time watching this
Oh
movie.
no.
It was so just like Cherry, it was so like incompetently made, and it was so generic, and just I did not enjoy watching this movie at all. On Paramount Plus, starring Mark Wahlberg and Chiwetel Ejiofor, the movie Infinite. The movie Infinite,
Oh, I didn't see that one.
yeah, don't. It's bad. It's really bad. Mark Wahlberg only shows up because so that his paycheck can clear, and Chiwetel Ejiofor, God bless him, is actually trying, and he shouldn't have been because this movie is just so bad.
Oh no, I heard it was really bad, and I don't have Paramount Plus, so it's not really my priority to watch it.
Thankfully, Paramount Plus, I've never had to pay for it because they keep sending because I subscribed like a long time ago when it used to be like CBS All Access. I subscribed for a free
Oh right.
trial just to see what it was like, and but now they keep emailing me like
Hmm.
free like codes and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. So
Oh wow,
basically I've had
that's
Paramount
cool.
Plus. Yeah, I've had Paramount Plus a total of like 8 times now, and I've never had to pay for it.
Nice. Well,
Yeah,
if that's the case, maybe I should sign up.
subscribing just to see Infinite is totally not worth it. But what is kind of
You
worth
saw
it,
it for free, and it was still a waste of money.
exactly, yes, it still was a waste of money. But there is one movie worth watching on Paramount Plus right now, and that is A Quiet Place Part 2.
Yeah. Okay. I saw it.
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I still thought that it was a really entertaining, well-made sequel. And this one,
Yeah.
I actually was able to get the opportunity to see it in a theater safely. So I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I saw it in the theater too. I liked it probably about as much as the first one because I only saw the first one once, so it wasn't necessarily fresh in my mind when I watched the second one. And I saw it with my mom, and my mom got confused.
She hasn't seen the
She
first
was
one?
getting the timeline out of. No, she had seen the first one. She
Oh,
just like because those of you if you listening if you haven't seen it, the only thing that's I guess maybe a spoiler is that the very beginning of A Quiet Place Part 2 takes place like before the events of A Quiet Place 1. So it starts like on the day of the alien invasion. So my
right,
mom got confused by that. She thought it was like immediately after. She's like, "Wait, I thought that guy already did that thing," or
right.
like to avoid spoilers. I thought that thing already happened, or why is this happening again? So that was kind of confusing for her. But again, maybe if we had just watched the first movie right before seeing it, it would have been more clear to us. But yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I was, watching it the whole time, interested. I wasn't like, oh God, why did they even bother making a sequel? Like, this is a waste of time. Like, no, it was definitely good. And it added to the first one. It enhanced it. I don't know what I would pick for which one's better. I think they're both about as good in my mind.
Well, for me personally, I think that the character development in the first one is better, but the filmmaking in the second one is better.
Okay.
I love that opening though. Like that opening, like those first like 10 minutes are probably my favorite part of the whole movie. And like I'm not trying to,
Hmm.
say that the rest of the movie is bad or boring or anything. I really enjoy the rest of the
No,
movie as
not
well.
at all.
Yeah, I really enjoy the rest of the movie as well. But those first 10 minutes are like, I want to see like a commentary or a master class from John Krasinski talking about how he did those first 10 minutes because he did a really great job.
Yeah, he did. And this is just I don't know if it's a personal thing to say, but something that I'm really happy about with that whole series is that John Krasinski used a female cinematographer for both films, and that's really cool. And it was a different one each time, so it wasn't like, oh, my original cinematographer's gone, so I'll just pick someone else. Like, I don't know if he did that on purpose, if he went out of his way to get a woman, but I'm really happy about it either way. So good job, John.
Yeah, yeah. Charlotte Bruns Christensen, who was the director of photography on the first one, and Polly Morgan, who is the DP on the second
Hmm.
one. They both did such a great job.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, I'm actually rooting for Polly Morgan to be nominated for cinematography at the Oscars. She probably won't win.
Nice.
She probably won't win because you know how the Oscars get, but I
Yeah.
think that she should genuinely be nominated for A Quiet Place Part 2. What's another film this year that like you really enjoyed?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Colton, but I don't know, one of my favorites, a movie that I really enjoyed that I'm glad it got a sequel, even though it probably didn't really need one, was Escape Room. Escape Room 2. He's giving me a look right now like I'm crazy.
Wait, no. I don't think
Um,
it's because I've never heard of it.
what?
I've never heard of it. What's Escape Room?
Oh, Escape Room is a movie that came out, I think, in January 2019, I want to say.
Really?
Um,
How have I never
it
heard
was
of
like,
this?
yeah, it was I don't know. It was, I guess they thought it was going to be one of those January dumps. January is supposed to be like the dumping ground for the bad movies, but honestly, it wasn't really that bad at all. I really enjoyed the heck out of it. You might like it, Colton, because oh gosh, what is her name? I just read about it the other day. I can't remember her name right now. Taylor from Waves.
Oh, Taylor
I
Russell
can't.
from Waves. She's in it?
Yes, Taylor Russell. Taylor Russell is in it. Yes, yes. She's in it. So basically, for those of you who haven't seen it, basically it's about six strangers who get invitations to partake in an escape room with the promise of if they make it out, they'll win $50,000 or some high amount of money. So, of course they're going to try. Why not? So just the very basic rest of the premise after that is the 6 people meet up in like a waiting room, and they're just kind of like waiting around for them to be shown to the escape room, because none of them really know what's going on. None of them have done it before except for one guy. And they find out the room they're in is actually the escape room. And it's not just like, for anybody who has gone to an escape room or knows what they are, it's not just a simple like, oh, you have an hour to, break out of the jail or something, and then after the 1 hour that they open the door and say, oh, you missed the clue, over there. It turns like deadly practically. Like it's not like that. It's like the rooms are getting like overheated, and it goes to the extreme. But I saw both of them with my boyfriend. My boyfriend enjoyed it as well because he said it's like Saw, but like it makes more sense. Or it's not that it makes more sense. I'm trying to remember the words he used. It gives the characters more agency, because in Saw it's like you have to do something ridiculous just to even survive. Whereas in Escape Room, it's like there are plenty of ways to get out. You just have to find them, and you don't necessarily have to hurt yourself to do it. So he liked that aspect of it. So if you do like Saw or puzzle type movies, you might like it.
Well, I've only seen the first Saw, and while I enjoyed it, I'm not a fan of like gory horror movies and horror in general, but especially when
It's
there's
not
like,
gory. It's PG-13. So
oh, okay,
Saw, or not, Escape Room is PG-13. I mean, not
right,
Saw.
right, yeah,
Saw definitely is rated R. Yeah,
yeah, no, I got you. Yes,
it's definitely not gory.
they probably played the trailer for the second one before A Quiet Place Part 2, but while the trailers were playing, I left the theater briefly to just for a quick bathroom break and came back. So I probably missed the trailer while I was gone. But I'm surprised I've never even heard
That's
of this.
possible.
I'm surprised I've never even heard of this franchise now, I guess.
Honestly, I don't think a lot of people have, but it was like a surprise hit, I guess. Like, I don't know what the budget was, but it ended up making like over $100 million. So that's why they made a second one. I think that surprised like everybody.
Hmm.
Surprised me because I went to see it because I had A-list at the time. And I was like, okay, well, it's January. What else is out to watch? I've already seen all of these other movies. So I
Right.
went to see it, and I ended up really enjoying it, like really a lot. Like I've seen it like 3 or 4 times total. And it doesn't get old for me, even though now I, of course, know what all the clues and all the hints are, but it's just fun. And then the second one was pretty much the same. It was also fun in that, and that's what I mean by the same. They, upped the ante. I'm not going to spoil anything. There's just added stuff that was really cool, and I just really enjoyed it, and I might watch it again.
All right. Well, maybe I'll check the two films out. I'm not really sure how they can make a film around an escape room premise. But you say that you enjoyed it, and
Well, I was kind of wondering about that because I was telling another friend about it who hadn't heard of it, and I was like, wait, is it a spoiler to say that there's another one? But kind of like Final Destination, there's more than one movie in that series,
right.
and it's not necessarily, a direct sequel. So there's possibilities to just, maybe each movie in this escape room series is going to be about a different room, or a different set of characters,
All right, all right.
that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Before you mentioned
Sure.
the Oscars, that Cherry, thank God, wasn't nominated at the Oscars. But
Yeah.
a movie that came out this year that was counted towards last year's Oscars, but since it came out this year, I'm counting it as a 2021 release.
Sure.
Judas and the Black
Uh-huh.
Messiah.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah it came out in February, but it's still like one of the year's best movies. It is phenomenal.
Definitely.
Man, Daniel Kaluuya, Lakeith Stanfield, and Dominic Fishback all are so
Mm-hmm.
good in their roles. Like, I've never heard of Dominic. Most people never heard of Dominique Fishback before this movie, and now everybody loves her, and I do too. But
Yeah.
man, Daniel and
Yeah.
Lakeith were so unrecognizably phenomenal. Like, there were times watching the movie where I genuinely saw them as Fred Hampton and William O'Neill. I forgot that they were actors.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you see any other movies on this list that like you maybe like Raya you like really loved or really exceeded your expectations?
So I do have some more that I wrote down on the ones that I liked, but still nothing has come out this year really that I've been like, oh my God, that is amazing. Nothing's amazed me yet. I've liked plenty, but nothing's really amazed me. But I'll bring up this movie just because I think it's a smaller movie, lesser known, and I liked it, so I'll mention it. It's called Together Together, and it stars Ed Helms. He's a guy who is a single man, and he's trying to pick a woman to be his surrogate to carry his child. And it was an interesting movie. It was really good. Another one I didn't really know much about going in. I had a free access to it through Film Independent. And something that's really cool about the movie that's not really specific to the plot or anything, that it's more about the casting, is the actress who plays the main female lead, Patty Harrison, is actually a trans woman, and she's playing a cisgender woman. I had no idea either when I was watching the movie because I hadn't heard of her. And I was just looking up the movie after I watched it, and I found out she's transgender. I was like, wow, that is a great step forward. Like, that's really, really phenomenal. Interesting. Because, like I said, I had no idea. So if I had no idea, I imagine most others wouldn't know. So it's not like it's a good step forward for trans actor visibility. But aside from that, the reason that I want to say I don't want to, it's kind of spoilery. So I don't know if I can think of a way to phrase it that's not spoilery. I think that I had expectations once it started that something would happen, and then it didn't happen at all. And I was kind of glad, actually, because it wasn't like a twist or anything. It was just a good movie, and the thing that I expected to happen didn't happen, and it was still good despite that. So that was really nice. And it did make sense that the thing that I thought would happen didn't happen. It wasn't like, oh, well, it would have been better if that happened, even though it's a cliche. Or I don't know. I'm kind of going off course at this point, but it's a good movie. And if you can find it, see it.
All right, yeah, I did actually hear about this one, but obviously with the pandemic, going regularly to a theater is not ideal at the moment. I have to really like plan ahead of time and take precautions and all that. So I haven't seen Together Together. I'll probably watch it at some point because I really like Ed Helms, and yeah, I really like that
Uh-huh.
Patty Harrison was cast. Yeah, even though I never heard of her, but like yeah, like you said, it is a great. That does seem like a good step forward for trans actors. I'll check it out at some point. But I want to mention
Cool.
a film that has completely gone under radar. Like no one is talking about this movie. I just saw it on a whim, and I basically loved it. It's called Limbo. And Limbo is a movie about a group of refugees who are living in Scotland, who are basically
Oh,
living on a visa in Scotland. And the main character is this young Syrian refugee who's a musician. And unfortunately, he had to give up his dream of being a talented musician back at home so that he could, quote unquote, live a better life
yeah.
in Scotland. But he's, working like a dead
Mm-hmm.
end factory job, and he's constantly in danger of, losing his visa and being deported back home. And he lives with a few other refugees. And it starts out as a very offbeat comedy, but then transitions into a
Mm-hmm.
heartbreaking drama that it's a
Uh-oh.
very slow paced movie, but I was engaged and riveted the entire time.
Good. Yeah, I was supposed to see that one. That was another one through Film Independent I could have seen, but the timing didn't work out. I didn't get a chance to see it.
Mm.
But now I'm glad to know that it was good, so I'll try to watch it now.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one a lot, and that's one that I'm really disappointed just went under the radar, but I think that it's really good,
Definitely.
and I think that film deserves more attention for sure. And
Mm-hmm. Okay.
another film that I actually saw on Netflix is called Rocks. And Rocks is about a young black British student who has a very
Mm-hmm.
troubled family life, and she lives with her kind of unstable mom and younger brother. Like
Mm-hmm.
her brother is like 4 or 5 years old, and her mom just bails
Yeah.
on. Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Did you like it? I really like this one.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't remember. I don't think I wrote a review. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. Is this a bad sign that I don't really remember a ton? Like I remember the plot, but I don't remember like, oh yeah, that was really good or oh it was bad. Like I think I probably gave it a 7 or 8. Like it was fine. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. But
Yeah,
I'm not like, oh my God, I love it. But that's
well, I
okay.
personally I really liked it a lot. I thought that the two leads, the little boy and the girl, were both actually very good actors. And
Yeah, I
I,
agree with that. Hmm.
to those of you watching, I really recommend this one a lot. And another movie I'll say before I give the floor back to you is another movie on Netflix that I would assume that most of you, if not all of you, have at least heard of. The Mitchells vs. the Machines is my favorite animated film of the year, is probably the funniest film I've seen this year, and I loved it so much.
That's good. I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Yeah, it's produced by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who also worked on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Lego Movie, and Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse. And all of those movies have very vivid animation and very zany, off-the-wall kind of comedy. So
Right.
it can get Mitchell's vs. the Machines. It can get a bit too chaotic and zany at times, but overall, it was absolutely hilarious and surprisingly heartwarming too.
One of my coworkers saw it and she pretty much said what you said, so I don't know why I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, that one was on Netflix's like top 10 like most searched move titles for a while, and yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Do you have any other movies that you really want to talk about?
Yeah, I have let's see, I have three more in each category if you
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
um I really liked Luca. Kind of sad it didn't get a theatrical release. It seems like it
Yeah,
probably would have done really well.
it would have.
It was kind of funny because I was reading things before it came out that like there was some survey that said In the Heights was like the movie that a bunch of people were going to go see after, all the pandemic closures were done. Like, oh, everybody wants to see In the Heights and they're really happy it's opening because it's like they haven't seen a movie in a year and they're going to go to the theater for this one. And then it ended up like not making that much money. So it's like, I don't know who they surveyed, maybe, only a really small amount of people, I guess. But it was really good. And it's an original musical. It's based on a Broadway musical, but it's original. It has a really good cast. Anthony Ramos is great. I really hope he becomes a superstar because I think he's very talented, very cool guy, and the songs are good. I will say it's not as good as Hamilton, but it's still pretty good. It's really hard to beat Hamilton though. So
Right, right. Yeah. I mean, Hamilton is like top tier like musical for me. So yeah, that would be pretty hard to beat. But
yeah,
I do want to see In the Heights. I just haven't gotten a chance to see it yet.
sure.
Do you have any other what about the movies that like really disappointed you? You said that you had like three other titles that like you said just really
Yeah.
you didn't like or disappointed you.
Yep. Yep. So we'll leave the one good one. There's one good one left on the list. So The Little Things, which came out in January, it was just kind of I didn't really get what the big deal was. I mean, not really that many people said it was amazing anyway, so I guess that's not necessarily an accurate representation. But you have three Oscar winners in this movie, and like none of them were really doing like an amazing job. Like Denzel is Denzel, but he didn't really seem like he wasn't playing Denzel type character.
Right.
Rami Malek did like I like Rami Malek, but I thought he did not do a very good job in this movie. I don't know if it was the directing or what, but he just seemed like he was not really there. He seemed like he was just kind of coasting, and it was kind of disappointing. Like I just didn't like his character, and he was supposed to be like likable, I think. I don't know. There was just something there that I was watching. I was like, why is he saying a line like that, and why is he doing that? Like, okay, weird. And then Jared Leto, like, I don't have an issue with him. Like, I think he's a good actor. He commits probably too much, actually.
Yeah.
Um, and he was fine in the role. I mean, I guess if you're gonna get like a suspect for murder, like you probably aren't gonna go wrong with Jared Leto. Like, is that a bad thing to say? I don't know, but he was fine. But I don't know how he got a Golden Globe and a SAG nomination. I think it was SAG. He got like all these award nominations, and unfortunately, he didn't get an Oscar nomination. But it was like, really, like you had plenty of other people to choose from. Like, I don't know why. I guess it was fresh in voters' minds when they had just gotten their ballot the same day they saw the movie or something. But it was just overall a weird movie. Like, it's a murder investigation, and I didn't really care by the end, like who it was, and it was just okay. That was a movie. Fine. I'm never gonna watch this again.
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I had no interest in watching this movie in the first place, even though I really do like Denzel, but just, the premise in the trailers just didn't interest me. So yeah, when I heard about all the reception, very mixed, average reception to the movie, I was not surprised.
It was just a weird movie.
What are the other two movies that just really disappointed you?
This other one is a very, very small movie that I hadn't even really heard of until like a week before it came out, and it was playing in an AMC theater, so I thought I'd see it. I watched the trailer. I was like, okay, part of this sounds interesting. A film called Boogie, which you and I have talked about before, Colton.
Yeah.
It's about uh see, I feel bad now because I can't remember. I think he was a Chinese American. The actor I think is Taiwanese, but I don't know if the character was. I apologize. I should have looked it up beforehand. I'm going to say Chinese American. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to go with that for now. He's a Chinese American. His parents were immigrants, and he grows up to be this really amazing basketball player, and he's trying to like balance his life with, a potential girlfriend, personal with, school related things. And to me, that would be very interesting. Like, I played basketball, so I was interested in that part. And I also like, stories that aren't just about another white person, even though I am white. I don't need to see only white people. Like, I want to see more representation for people.
Right.
So I was really interested in seeing a movie that was something different. But it just ended up being kind of boring, to be honest. And the main character, who he goes by the name Boogie, was just not that likable. He was always like arguing with his family, and I mean, yeah, teenagers argue with their family. Like, I'm not going to say like that made him annoying, but some of it was like, come on, dude, you don't need to argue with them about that. Like, it's okay to, listen to your parents once in a while or something like that. And it just, maybe I wanted more basketball. I don't know, but there's like another rival. He has like this basketball rival, but it's not a school one. It is a school one, but it's not. It's like they play street ball, and the guy just like, I didn't really get like what their rivalry was. It wasn't like they had been playing with each other for like years, and the other guy always beat him and that kind of thing. It was just like, oh yeah, that guy that plays on the street is like totally going to get this scholarship, and you're not. And it's like, okay, well, that's the case for like thousands of kids all across the country. Like, why this specific guy? Plenty of kids in New York are probably getting a scholarship, but not this guy or whatever. So it just didn't work for me, and I really wanted it to. So I was very disappointed in it, and I kind of wish that they had just, gone and fixed the screenplay a couple times more. But yeah, maybe that's why it wasn't really well received or noted or marketed.
Yeah, my mom and I, we did hear about this one because we've both been actively seeking out movies with stories involving Asian American centric characters or ideals, and both of
Mm-hmm.
us, we did
Mm-hmm.
hear about this one, and we were like, oh, maybe check it out when it comes out on streaming or whatever. But then after
Mm-hmm.
it was released in theaters and it got some very negative reception, we were like, oh, never mind. So yeah, I'm not probably not
Yeah.
gonna watch this one. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that does disappoint me because, as an Asian American, I want movies with Asian American characters to
Yeah.
succeed, and but also to be, but they need to be, really well made and interesting films. And it looks like Boogie was
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. Unfortunately not.
Yeah, that's a shame. What's the last film that disappointed you and that you also really liked?
Okay, so the last one that disappointed me was Wrath of Man. I don't know if you saw this one, Colton, or not. No, you didn't see
No,
it. Okay.
no, I didn't see it.
So it's a Guy Ritchie movie with Jason Statham. I think it came out in April. I saw it in the theaters. This was kind of this wasn't one that I really necessarily expected to love. I like some of Guy Ritchie's movies, but I also don't love all of his movies. So I'm not like, oh, it's Guy Ritchie, I'm going to see his movies. I'm like, okay, it might be good, it might be bad. I don't know. I'll give it a try. And I'm not really like a huge Jason Statham fan or, anti Jason Statham either. Like, okay, whatever, he's in it, fine. It doesn't affect my wanting to view the movie. So this was just kind of I don't know. There's too many characters that came and went, and I don't even really remember what the plot was, and I only saw it 3 months ago, so I don't think that's a good sign. It's like Jason Statham works for like a security company, but his son was this isn't a spoiler because it happens in like it's part of the trailer. I'm pretty sure it's part of the trailer and it happens in 5 minutes, so it's not a spoiler. Jason Statham's son got killed like 5 years ago or something, or recently. It cuts around a lot. I didn't really. He's like trying to find revenge for his son's death. He thinks he's getting close to finding who killed him, and so he's like using his security job to like cover for it or something. I think, like I said, I don't even remember what the plot was. Really, that's what I remember it being. If that's wrong, then they didn't do a very good job explaining that. And I mean, it's Guy Ritchie, so yeah, there's a lot of crazy action scenes and ridiculous stuff. So if you enjoy that, then you'll love the movie. If you want it to make sense, you will not love the movie. So if you don't care either way, then maybe you'll also not care when it's over. So I can't say that it's a great movie that I would watch again or have anybody else watch.
Yeah, the Wrath of Man I heard about, like you with Boogie. I only heard about it like a week before it came out, but I was like, I don't care. I'm not a guy. I'm not really
Yeah.
a Guy Ritchie fan to begin with. I don't think his style really works for me that well on a personal level. So nothing against him as a person, but just him as a director, I'm not really a big fan of. So
Yeah.
definitely not going to see
Yeah.
that one. Before you share the other film that you really enjoyed, I just want to quickly list off some of my least favorite and most favorites.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Cherry's definitely the worst film I saw this year. But Infinite comes really close. That was just awful. Boss Baby 2 is also awful, but not as awful as Infinite or Cherry, but still awful. I found Malcolm and Marie with Zendaya and John David Washington to be kind of pretentious. Like, it's not a bad film, but just watching it,
Yeah.
like, why
Yeah.
do I care? Like, this isn't a bad.
Yeah.
It looks
I
pretty.
agree.
This looks, yeah, like it looks pretty, but I just don't really care. The final
Yep.
entry, yeah, the final entry in the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy came out, and everybody forgot about it already. It was a serviceable,
Yeah.
romantic comedy with ugly Noah Centineo, or ugly and untalented. Sorry, finished. I should have finished.
No comment.
Zack Snyder's Justice League. The fans were, all the fans were like, "Oh, restore the Snyderverse! Oh, justice for Zack Snyder!" And I'm like, I don't care. But then, it's 4 hours long. It did not need to be 4 hours.
Yeah, I make it a mini series if it's going to be that long. Like,
yeah, exactly. Why couldn't it? They split it up into sections anyway. Like it says part 1, part 2, part 4, whatever. So why not just make it a mini series anyway? I don't get it. Like,
seriously.
Sadly, I think that Zack Snyder's version of Justice League is his best movie, but it's still a very flawed, messy movie that's 4 hours long.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but yeah, I'm not really excited to see a 4-hour movie. I'm gonna have to split it up and watch an hour every day or something.
Unless you're a passionate Zack Snyder fan, then you could skip this one. You could also skip his other movie that came out on Netflix, Army of the Dead. That was just meh.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy Luca as much as other people did, but I still thought that it was fun and the animation was pretty. Cruella
Mm-hmm.
was surprisingly good. Like I was expecting it to be terrible, and then I was like, this is a jam. Like I'm enjoying this. Until the I won't spoil what happens in the ending, but that ending was absolutely stupid and ridiculous.
Are you talking about the reveal of who somebody was, or?
I'm talking about something happens to, without spoiling anything, I'll just say that something happens to a certain character, and then another character like takes like the takes like all the like I won't say anymore.
Okay, okay, I know what you mean. Okay, I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about now. I kind of had forgotten. There was a lot going on in that movie, so
yeah.
I kind of wasn't 100% sure what you were referring to. I got it now.
Nobody with
Mm-hmm.
Bob Odenkirk was also surprisingly fun and not as violent. I was
Yeah,
expecting it to be very like violent, and it was violent, but
yeah,
not as violent as I was expecting it to be. But that was also a
yeah.
film that did kind of exceed. It's not in a Cruella and Nobody aren't amazing films, but they definitely exceeded my expectations. I
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
loved Shiva Baby. That film was just so chaotic and uncomfortable to watch. That's another film where I can
That means I probably won't like it.
You've seen that one?
I haven't seen it, but no, I haven't seen it. But you saying that it's chaotic and uncomfortable means I probably won't like it because I actually don't like movies like
Yeah, just the
I do
premise.
want to see it though. I'm not gonna take your word and mean that I'm not gonna want to see it. I do want to see it, but I have a feeling I'm not gonna love it. That's just my gut instinct.
So just the premise alone is very interesting. So basically, a young bisexual Jewish college student goes to a Jewish funeral, a shiva. Well, actually, no, sorry, the shiva is what happens after the funeral. So like the family all
Okay.
comes together to mourn and all that. So this young Jewish bisexual girl goes to a shiva, and at the shiva she obviously she's surrounded by her parents and her parents' friends, and they're all bugging her about what she wants to do in life and stuff. And at the
Hmm.
shiva she bumps into her ex-girlfriend and her sugar daddy. It's wild. It's so chaotic, and like it's purposely edited and filmed in such a frantic like way that you barely have room to like really breathe. And and it's so uncomfortable what happens to
Ooh,
this main character. But I loved the experience. Like watching it, like it's such a wild
good.
journey. The tone and style of the filmmaking is like very similar to Uncut Gems. So if you thought that Uncut Gems was too like chaotic and frenetic, then you're probably not gonna like Shiva Baby either.
Yeah. You just solidified my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to, like assume for you or anything. I don't know. Maybe if you watch it, maybe you'll like
No,
it.
I
But
know.
yeah. But my favorite film of the year so far is actually a documentary by Questlove of the Jimmy Fallon's bands, The Roots. That's on the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show. And Questlove, he directed a documentary called Summer of Soul, which is about the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival, which was overshadowed by Woodstock. And this festival had all these, famous black musical artists like Nina Simone and Stevie Wonder on it. And so far, this documentary is my favorite film of the year.
That's funny. That's the one that I had last. That's the because I
Oh,
just saw it
nice.
yesterday. So I don't know if it's my favorite of the year, but I did enjoy it a lot as well. But some kind of circumstances around how I was seeing it made me really sleepy. And I kind of like, I don't know if it was the music, because like soul music isn't really like, calm music necessarily, but
Right, right.
I kind of like almost dozed off a few times, but it was a really good movie. So I don't know why that happened. And I don't think I missed anything. It was just like a quick, like, oh, wait, oh, what? Wake up, sit up straight, watch the movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'll probably have to watch it again because I want to make sure I didn't miss anything when I dozed off. But I found it really interesting, and I liked how some of it, they were talking about how some of the artists were getting involved in the political stuff, Like
Right.
how Stevie Wonder's manager or whoever said he didn't want him to be involved in politics, and Stevie Wonder was like, no, I'm definitely going to talk about political things. And I learned about how before 1969, it used to be that they would refer to African Americans as Negro. And then, like, I guess 1969 was like the year that Black started to become more socially acceptable, I guess. I had no idea. I never knew that. So that was interesting. And just seeing the concert footage, I was like, you could just have a whole. And my dad said he wants Questlove to make part two so he can watch more of the concert footage.
Right, right. I keep telling people
Yeah.
that I usually don't like documentaries, but and yet like almost every single documentary that I've seen, I've like loved basically. So I guess I do like documentaries.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I haven't seen too many films this year. I've seen about 30 films this year, and I know that that might seem like a lot, but on,
2021 specific, you mean?
I'm sorry?
You mean 30 films that came out in 2021 or 30 films like period?
2021 specifically.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
know that that might seem like a lot, but like in 2019 and throughout the whole year, I mean, not like throughout the whole year, I saw like maybe like 120 movies. And in
Yeah.
2020, what's ironic actually is that by this point, I had seen more films from 2020 than I have in 2021, which is ironic because 2020 is when the theaters closed, the films are getting
Yeah.
delayed, and yet like on average I saw more films from last year. I mean, the year's not over yet obviously, and we still have upcoming
Yeah.
movies like Dune and The French Dispatch from
Hmm.
Wes Anderson and etc. But like obviously the year's not over and we still have a lot more films coming out, and I still have to see Black Widow, which is already out, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Hmm.
But I will say that ironically I saw more and also better films from last year than I did this year. Like last year we got, like Nomadland and Another Round and The Father and Minari. And honestly,
Hmm.
like maybe like the Judas and the Black Messiah, which was nominated, at the Oscars last year, but I'm counting as a film for this year. Judas and the Black Messiah,
Yeah.
Mitchell's vs. Machines, and Summer of Soul are films I really enjoyed. But I think that there are films from last year, and just in general that I resonate with me and that I like a lot more than any film that I've seen of
Yeah.
this.
Sure.
Like there are films this year that I've enjoyed, like Nobody and A Quiet Place Part Two and Rocks, but none of these films are really films that like are like that I would consider to be like best of all time, or like they're kind of
Yeah.
best of the year by default, because I mean that might be
Yeah.
my fault because I've been mainly focusing more on excluding stuff in my personal life, like seeking new employment and just personal issues I had to deal with. I mainly just
Yeah.
focused on just watching or rewatching TV, like stuff on Netflix or Disney
Hmm.
Plus. Like I didn't watch as many new movies this year, and I'm hoping that that will change because there are some films coming out later this year that I do really want to see. But I just think that in general,
Yeah.
like it's kind of ironic. Like many of the films I saw this year were films that were actually supposed to come out last year but got delayed, and honestly, it
Yeah.
wasn't really worth the wait that much.
My movie watching has been a little bit behind what it was last year, but still kind of not too far off. I still try to see movies, and I found a new method that I can watch movies at work. I have break time, so I watch movies on my break. Well, I watch one movie on a break per day, so I'm not watching multiple movies. You get what I mean?
Right. No,
So that helps me to keep my movie count up. Not that it should be quality over quantity, but I'm kind of on the quantity. I want to watch more movies, so I try to. Another thing, I don't remember if I told you this, Colton, but I watch movies when they're not in the theater. If I'm at home watching them or at work, I watch them sped up. I watch them at least on at 1.5 speed, or even sometimes double speed, especially if it's a silent movie. You can watch those are most of them are short anyway, so you can watch like an hour movie in half an hour, and you can watch a whole bunch. So it's just a good way to get a large number of movies watched. And if you don't have a ton of time, like, it helps too, especially if you have the captions option. I'm excited for the rest of the year. If we want to discuss really quickly or just mention some that we're looking forward to, I'm personally looking forward to The King's Man because I love the Kingsman series. And even though this is a prequel, I'm still pretty interested in it. I think the cast looks pretty good. I love Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn's actually my favorite director. I'm looking forward to the new Marvel movies, Shang-Chi and Eternals. Not a ton, like, I'm not like, oh my God, I have to see those movies. But yeah, I'm going to see them. I think they're going to be cool. Really looking forward to Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man No Way Home, I guess, since there already was a Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. Dune, looking forward to that. My boyfriend is really looking forward to that. It's like his favorite book, so he's very excited. No Time to Die, again, another one that's been delayed so many times. It's like, I need to see it so that way I need it to stop being delayed. And the last one that I wrote down is looking forward to is The Last Duel by Ridley Scott. I read the nonfiction book it's based on, and it's a nonfiction book, so it's not necessarily that thick on plot or anything. It's more of like, here's what the situation was in France in the 1400s, and here's what happened, and here's how it ended. It's a short book. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play as more of like a fictionalized story. And in the hands of Ridley Scott and with the actors he got, I think it could be very good. So I'm excited for that movie as well.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was actually just about to ask you what your more anticipated films for the rest of the year are. I'm also really looking forward to Dune. There's two Ridley Scott movies coming out this year. There's
Right.
and there's also with Lady Gaga, House of Gucci.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward a little bit more to House of Gucci. I think that film has the potential to be like really like zany and wild, and
Yeah.
which is different than this premise is usually not what we get from a Ridley Scott movie, but that makes me a little bit more interested to see what it'll be all about. And I loved Lady Gaga in A Star Is Born, so I'm looking.
I love her.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how she'll do in House of Gucci. I'm a big fan of Wes Anderson, so The French Dispatch got really high critical acclaim at the Cannes Film Festival that's going on right now. So I'm really excited about that one. Looking forward to Dune as well. I'm also looking forward to Shang-Chi, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home. There's another A24 film coming out at the end of July called The Green Knight, and a friend of mine, she also is really looking forward to Green Knight, and she and I are gonna try. Not sure if we'll be able to, but try to do a podcast talking about The Green Knight if we're able to see it safely.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, there's a bunch of other movies coming out that I heard about from Cannes Film Festival, or some other big releases like the Suicide Squad that I'm intrigued in and looking forward to seeing. But I'm hoping that these films will be good, because honestly the year's been kind of just a mad year for cinema so far. Like overall 2020 was also a very mad year for cinema, but I think it's a little bit more disappointing in 2021 because cinemas are opening up again and people are getting vaccinated and going into theaters again. So
yeah. And one more that I was going to mention, I'm actually pretty interested in The Many Saints of Newark, even though I haven't seen The Sopranos at all. I've never seen an episode. I know how it ends, though. I did have the ending spoiled. But what interests me is the fact that they actually got James Gandolfini's son to play with Tony Soprano as a young man. I think that's really cool. I love that. So I'm really looking forward to just seeing that. I mean, I won't be able to compare and be like, oh yeah, he's acting just like, Tony Soprano, but I think I'll be very interested just to see that. I think that's really cool. And it's not stunt casting because it makes sense. Unrelated, but like the Mamma Mia sequel, like why did they cast one of Stellan Skarsgård's sons to be the younger version? Like, were they worried because he couldn't sing? They didn't want to sing. They didn't want to be in it. Fine, maybe, but like, come on. He has like 6 sons. I think one of them probably could have been in it.
The Skarsgård sons are probably either didn't want to or were too busy to be in Mamma Mia too. But
Maybe.
you do have a point there because Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson Jr., did a really good job playing his
Yes,
father
good.
in Straight Outta Compton.
Right.
But yeah, do you have any other movies that you want to talk about that either you've seen or that you're looking forward to seeing?
No, that about does it. I mean, since I still have A-list, I still try to see as much as I can, and I used to be a lot more picky about what I would watch, but I try not to do that anymore, and it's paid off. I've seen a lot of movies that I didn't think I'd like that I ended up liking, so I'm pretty much going to see all the big releases, and I'll try to sneak in as many of the small releases too. As long as they're playing in an AMC, I will try to watch it. Yeah, so I don't have anything else specific that I wanted to mention for 2021.
I guess that wraps things up for now. So I want to thank you again for
Yep.
being on the podcast.
Thank you for continuing to invite me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love talking film, and some people don't always know all the things that I'm talking about, so it's good to talk to another film fan who gets it.
Yeah, no, it's always a pleasure to have you on the podcast, and hearing your the different thoughts and opinions is always great. And I want to thank you all for listening to another episode of my podcast, Podcast Racing. Because of my full-time job, I'm not sure when the next episode will come out, but I'm hoping soon. So I appreciate all your guys' patience and understanding. And I'm looking forward to hopefully soon the next time another episode comes out. Bye.
Now this is Podcast Racing.